outer world follows inner world. When you get that as a concept, then success will be a lot faster to you, and you won't have to wait until it happens in order to feel great. Because your rules for feeling great are, well, I'll feel great when I'm an entrepreneur. I'm an entrepreneur now. Doesn't matter what's in the bank. That's always going to go up and go down. That's the nature of business. That's the nature of the cut and thrust and the up and down, the vicissitudes of being in the game that we're in. Right? And I'd never have it any other way.
Hello, fabulous person. Beate Gillette here, the Growth Architect. Welcome back to the Business Growth Architect Show, where we bring you cutting-edge business strategies from some of the world's most successful entrepreneurs, business transformation experts, and visionaries who want to help you to scale your impact. Look for one tangible strategy that you can take back and implement right away. And now back to our guest. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. This is your host, Beate Gillette, and this is another episode of the Business Growth Architect Show. Today, I have a very exciting guest who will share a lot of information about how to be the best version of yourself, and I really look forward to it. Peter Sage is here with me. Peter, welcome to the show, and please introduce yourself.
Yeah, say thank you, and real pleasure to be here. I think your tribe is definitely my tribe, so hopefully we'll have a lot to resonate today. But yes, my background is I actually dropped out of school at 16. I've got no formal qualifications. I went out and built 27 international companies since then, some of which have failed majestically. Some have become international multi-million-dollar success stories, and pretty much everything in between. And through that journey, really just evolved myself as an entrepreneur, hoping to be able to share today with your tribe some of the wisdom and some of the lessons and some of the avoid some of the mistakes that I've made along the world. So that's really my game, and part of what's made me most successful, I'm guessing, is that my passion alongside being an entrepreneur has been to understand human behavior. Why do we do what we do? What takes two people with the same IQ, same opportunity, same marketplace, same economy, succeed and fail at the same time, and when there's no real differentiator? Well, that's really what I want to share with you about some insights today as well.
I really love that, because I think that, before we really dive into this, it's really important to point out that the more you go into success, or what success is and why people do what they do, the more interesting it kind of becomes, because once you have the knowledge, you can't unknow, and then you watch the behavior and you go, oh, there they go, here they are, the triggers have been pushed, the programming is running, and off they go. So it sounds to me like you have a lot of strategic insights to human behavior and building businesses. So talk to me and share with me, what is strategy for you?
Well, it's an area that very few business owners really look at in the context of how I see it. See, for me, there's two very distinct types of execution. You have strategy and you have tactics. And most people don't differentiate between the two. Tactics or tactical applications are what most people focus on. If you ask a salesperson, what's the purpose, what's the outcome of making a sales call, they'll say to get a sale. If you say, what's the purpose of building a website, it's to get a prospect. Well, what are your strategic objectives that govern that? For example, if I go to the salesperson, say, okay, you want to make a sale, is that it? What about being able to build rapport or preempt the competition or set up a referral? If they're strategic objectives that have been decided on prior to writing the script of your sales call, your sales call is going to look differently. And if you don't get the sale, then what other objectives have you accomplished by strategically being able to design those in advance? Most people are running off like a rocket without a stick. They've got all the enthusiasm, they've got all of the intention, but they don't have a strategic plan or a set of strategic objectives. Another simple example, if you take a business card, someone say, what's the outcome or what's the objective of a business card? Well, to convey contact information. Well, that's a very tactical approach. What about strategic objectives? What do you mean? Well, what business are you in? Is the strategic objective of your business card to convey credibility? In which case your professional associations or the letters after your name or the quality of the card. Is it for recognition? So because you go to a lot of networking events, you walk away with a stack of business cards and then you can't remember who's what and they go in the bin after 3 months. right? So if it's recognition as a strategic objective, because that's the line of prospecting you're in, what about having your photograph on there and a tagline that people can remember you by? So there's so many different ways to improve the tactical efforts of your business when you understand what strategy really is and how to create strategic objectives in advance. And that's really takes a different level of thinking. So, strategy can be many different things, but one thing I found, Bihati, is if strategy leads tactics, it can make your tactics 10 times harder, working for you. It can make 10 times the result from the same amount of effort. Sun Tzu said, tactics without strategy is the path to defeat. Strategy without tactics is the noise before defeat. You have to have both together. You can't just sit there and plan and have a great business plan and no cheese in the fridge. You've got to get out there and do it. But most people are too busy going out there and doing it and not having the strategic objectives in place. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I love that a lot. And I'm going to throw a question at you that I don't really ask all the time, but I think you probably will be able to shed some light on this. Is what if somebody doesn't understand the concept of strategy entirely, right? So they're business owners, they put the shingle out, they got a website, they're sitting here, they're hammering away, they're making money. And they go, well, I show up in the morning and then I check my email and then I start working and, make some, 1 hour for calls and 1 hour for this and 1 hour for that. How can you tell someone, and I know you teach a lot of these concepts, to be a little bit more strategic when they start, at the beginning of the year to look at their business? Are you having any advice for those who struggle with strategy in general as a concept?
Ask better questions. Questions are the steering wheel of the mind. Questions direct focus. And most of the time, people are asking the wrong questions. How can I pay the bills on Friday? How can I get more sales? How can I, solve this problem? As entrepreneurs, we face a lot of tennis balls coming over the net at once. I get it. But the analogy is that if you are not taking time to understand or implement or decide on strategy because you're asking the wrong questions, an example of the right question would be, what is my outcome? What is most important to me in this business? What is it that I'm ultimately trying to achieve? What kind of outcome would I want my clients to have? What would I want them to say about me after the sale? Start asking outcome-driven questions, not tactical-driven questions like, what can I get? How can I achieve that? So if you can put it into a metaphor, it's like, imagine we're in the battle of business here, which is competitive. We know that. And you've got a lot of enemy out there that you're on a hill and they're all rushing at the hill and you're firing your bow and arrow and trying to take out as many of the enemy as possible. And somebody's tapping you on the shoulder saying, hey, guess what? I've got this thing called a machine gun. And you're like, go away, I'm too busy. I'm too busy to learn how to use a machine gun. I'm firing bows and arrows. I mean, that's the madness of how most people run their business. They're too busy being busy, which is usually leading to being busy being broke. That if you can take a step back and ask yourself, better questions. What is the one thing that I can focus on in my business that's subject to doing it would make everything else easier or unnecessary? Because the patterns that are running a lot of the time are patterns of activity, not patterns of productivity. See, the very first thing, if you're a morning person or if you've got energy in the morning, you want to be putting that energy into not designing some fancy website because it looks good and you get into the creative mode, not trying to plan your business plan, because business plans, I've seen them all. I've been asked to fund many of them, right? Business plans all kind of follow the same thing. They overestimate income, they underestimate costs. At best, they're a guess, and at worst, they're fraud. They pretty much tell somebody who wants to invest in your business that you kind of know what you're doing. That's how most businesses, but we put so much time and effort into it, and most of it is procrastination under the guise of research, because we don't want to actually get out there and do the creative thinking ourselves. So when it comes to being able to sit there, if you've got energy in the morning, focus on first things first, and first things first come under one category only as an entrepreneur: revenue generation. That is your primary category. If you're not splitting your tasks into revenue generation versus non-revenue generation, because most of the time people are getting into a mindset of, I've got a long list of things on my to-do list, right? tell me, but we're entrepreneurs. We're always going to have a long list of things on our to-do list. And what happens if you don't ask better questions, like what's going to hit the bottom line the fastest for my business right now, or what's the one thing I can do that's subject to doing it will make everything else easier or unnecessary, your brain gets sucked into list reduction because you link productivity with having a short list. Well, that's a fast way to bankruptcy. Why? I'll show you. The brain kind of counts 1, 2, 3, many. And so if you have less than 3 things or more than 3 things on your list, your brain's starting to prioritize. Let's say most people have like 95 things. Well, we know the score. Some people have lists for lists, right? A lot of list makers in the house. So if you have a long list, the brain switches gears and now focuses on how can I reduce the list, and it confuses that for productivity, which it's not. So therefore you now assess what's on the list. What's the fastest thing I can tick off? Well, I can promise you the fastest thing you can tick off is not going to be revenue generation. It's going to be some sort of, quick thing to make you feel good, get a short-term dopamine hit, the fact that you think you're now productive and getting stuff done so you can take a breath. Yeah, not going to happen. Far better to get 4 things done on your list of 97 things that add value to your business and bottom line than cross off 90 things that really don't have an impact. Make sense?
Oh my God. This is so good because I think we all get caught in that trap. So when I work with my clients, you'll get a chuckle out of this. I give them a main list and I call this the master list, the brain dump, right? And they get to just like take everything and put these 90 things you just talked about on that list. Then I give them a second list and it's called the daily 5. And then they are to pull out 5 things per day out of that big list and not even ever look at the other list, so that when they start the day, they have these 5 things right in front of them. And the reason I do this is because I'm guilty just as much, because it really takes a lot of mental discipline to stay focused on to doing what you said you were going to do. And I think that leads us right into my big question is, what's your favorite strategy? And I know you're huge about mindset and you're huge about teaching people how to kind of get out of their own way. So what do you want to share with our audience?
Similar question in terms of, what's my outcome? You see, a lot of people lose touch with the reason why they got into business when they get too busy being busy. And a lot of people also get into business for the wrong reasons. They want to get away from a job. They want to control their own income. They want to have more time. That's like saying, I want to have twins so I can have more time. Right? That's a myth. So when it comes to understanding the reasons why you got into business, it's time to revisit. And unfortunately, most people, how do you put this? Don't discover until it's too late that there is a huge difference between a life-chasing success and a life-chasing fulfillment. Yeah, so many people want to get to the top of Success Mountain, finally make it, and then want to jump off because what they thought was going to be there isn't there. Yeah, it's the joke of the entrepreneur. It's kind of a twisted joke that you spend the best years of your life sacrificing your health, sacrificing your relationship, missing your kids grow up, to get to the end of the rainbow that 95% don't ever make. But let's say you do. And you finally cash out, you sell out, you get a huge amount of money. You get the time, money, freedom you've been working for fill in the blank years. So what? What do you do next? I'll tell you what you do next based on my experience of working with my clients. Yeah, you finally have enough money so you can pay for your divorce, so you can hire a personal trainer to get your health back and buy your kids loads of crap so they love you again. I mean, that's what we forget. We're so busy, what I call chasing the white rabbit. It's the curse of the white rabbit. And if there's one thing I want to give to business owners today, to basically really try to put it in perspective, to have that shift, right? Not to learn a new skill or sales technique. I can teach you sales techniques until I'm, when I'm drunk, right? That's not going to change your life. What's going to change your life is your relationship to your business. Yeah, people aren't overweight because they eat too much. That's a misnomer. That's a rabbit hole that the multi-billion-dollar diet industry is happy to sell you a map to run down. No, people are overweight because they haven't mastered their relationship to food. People are in debt because they haven't mastered their relationship to money, not because they don't earn enough. And when it comes to business, people are stressed because they haven't mastered their relationship to their business. It becomes too much of a source of stress. So if I give you the analogy, I call it the curse of the white rabbit. And we're all familiar with the concept of a dog track. You open the trap, the greyhounds run, and they chase a mechanical rabbit around the track, and people bet on who's the first dog to cross the line. Now the question is, do they ever catch the rabbit? Well, no, of course not, right? Because if they get close, it speeds up because somebody's turning a wheel, because the object of the game is for the dog not to catch the rabbit, it's the dog to run. Now the business analogy here is this: most people are chasing goals that they're never going to catch. They may have some short-term goals like income or toys or whatever, but how many people do you know of you come across, BRD, that's they've bought their Ferrari, or they've reached their quarterly goal milestone, and they're happy for about 9 seconds, and then they're frustrated again, or they're unfulfilled again, or they're at the top of Success Mountain, they want to jump off. And the reason for that isn't because you're not a good enough entrepreneur. It's not because you're not successful enough. It's because, like the dogs, the game is designed so that you can never catch the rabbit of fulfillment, which is what you're really after, by running on the track of achievement. The two aren't designed. So if you take the dogs get to the end of the race and look at them. They're ecstatic. Why? They got to run. That's what dogs are born to do on that, as a greyhound. Business owners are born to build businesses. That's what we do. But if you're linking your self-worth to your net worth or your business goals, then that's like the greyhound linking its self-worth to catching a rabbit. No, you don't see a greyhound at the end of the race turn around to his friends and say, you know what, ran 3 races this week, won 2 of them, still haven't caught that rabbit. I quit. I'm going to sit here and figure it out. No, they're happy because they got to run. If you're building a business and you're stressed out of your mind because you think you have to achieve X, and then you'll have finally made it, you're playing the wrong game. You're playing the game of feel great when. Feel great when I make enough money, when I have enough clients, when I finally prove myself to my elder brother that I'm as good as he, whatever it is. We've all got a story. But the real successful business owners that I've met are playing a different game. They're playing the game of feel great now. They realize that they already are that which they seek. And then business isn't a never-ending ladder to try to climb somewhere to get a better view. Business then becomes a vehicle to express your gift through adding value to the world as part of what it is that you set up to do. That's a different game. That's a different relationship to your business. That's when you have a fundamental shift, not when you go sell more people or expand to the next level.
Very rarely, I don't know what to say, but I've definitely have a moment here where I had to take all of this in, because this is, I think, at the bottom or at the core of the dissatisfaction of every business owner is the discrepancy between the chase to the unspecified there that is generally based upon some vague idea that they can even often explain other than it's not this, and the sacrifice that they make for chasing that unspecified goal, as you said, oftentimes at the expense of relationships. And some very successful business people I know have miserable relationships, or they can't connect, or they don't have good intimacy, or their kids hate them. But because they're also not putting the time in, right? Because when you get into that, I call this part, Peter, when your family's in the way of you working more, you know you have a problem. When you have that kind of attitude and you say, I really have to do this. I don't have time for you right now. And it's your wife, your husband, your partner, your kids, your friends. Now, that's a telltale sign that you have a real issue. So is there a moment that you are recognizing, because I know you do a lot of this work with your clients, where, are there almost like stages of this? It's like, at this point, there's still hope. At that point, they're so far gone. At this point, something really dramatic has to happen so that the pain of staying has to be greater than the fear of changing. Are you seeing that there's because I see that. So I want to ask you, do you see the level of intensity until somebody goes, I cannot do this anymore?
It's different for everybody because everybody's unique. Everybody comes at life through their own looking glasses. But generally speaking, people will do things for two reasons: inspiration or desperation. And yeah, some people, love them or not, have to hit their head on the sidewalk in order to learn how to tie their shoelaces. You can send them love, but some people are on a path of self-destruction, and you can't want it more for them than they want it for themselves. If you do, you're wasting your time. You can be the example and you can be the invitation, and let go of what they do with the invitation. Because you can either be a warning or an example. Pick one. You're gonna be one of them, and far better to be an example for other people to hopefully not be a warning. You can try for some people, but if they are getting what I call secondary gain, if they're getting their significance by how long they're working or how much money they're making or whatever, it's hard to break the habit. Sometimes it is a health issue that knocks on the door. Sometimes it's finding out that, I had a client, I had a very successful, sold his business for $30 million. And not a bad payday. A lot of people would take that. And the day he closed the deal is the day his wife filed for divorce. Absolutely heartbroken trauma. He'd spent 15 years of his life working towards this moment so he could retire with his childhood sweetheart. But guess what? He's been emotionally unavailable. She's fallen in love with the pool cleaner. And now she's got a $15 million payday to go enjoy it with, right? The guy's now doing a bottle of Jack Daniels a night and 50 grand a week in the casino. At that point, I'm the guy to call, because you need to be able to shift somebody out of that pattern. And sometimes it is a level of trauma that is required to slap them out of their myopic focus that says, I have to run down this path in order to essentially avoid the fear that they're not enough. That's what it usually comes down to, in whatever disguise or whatever layer of the onion that you put over that. When you peel it back enough, it's always there. The fear we're not enough. It's a primary fear. Not good enough, rich enough, tall enough, short enough, fill in the blank. Right? So it does vary, but they have to want to change. I don't want to have to want it for them. And if I do, I'm banging my head against the wall. And a lot of the time I'll turn clients down because they're not ready. They want a quick fix. They want to come and pay a pill and not want to put in the work. But my role as a coach, as a mentor, is essentially say, listen, I can build a gym. I've got world-class equipment. I have got a stellar, proven Olympic-level training program, and I'm the best personal trainer on the planet. But I can't lift the weights for you. So you want to dance? Let's dance. Let's go do this thing. But if you're not committed, you're out of here, because I've got a list of people that are.
Yes, I cannot emphasize enough, and I really want to point this out for our audience, is that especially for consultants and coaches, this is something you really need to hear, because the thought that what they need, but their recognition of their willingness or their awareness of that they need to be doing this are often two different things. And that a lot of times coaches and consultants really get themselves in a pickle here because they want to deliver all the things that they know will help this person, but this person just isn't ready to do it. And so I like that you pointed that out so specifically. I cannot want this more for you than you want this for yourself. Otherwise, I'm banging my head against the wall. Let's talk about your personal life. So you talk about fulfillment, mastering the mental game, the best version of yourself. I'm sure this has something to do with an experience that you have, or have you always been like that? So tell us how did you connect with that important, or how did you shift into that, where that became now an essence of what you're teaching?
Well, again, everybody has an evolving kind of journey. Nobody's born enlightened.
That would be nice. Sign
Buddha
me up for
wasn't
that.
born Buddha. He was born Prince Siddhartha. But for me, there was a significant emotional event. In my mid-20s, I was running 8 companies at the time. I was, trying to be successful, working 133 hours a week. And I fell asleep driving home at 2 a.m. from the office and hit an intersection at 60 miles an hour, which, woke me up. Luckily, nobody was hurt. But I remember sitting at the side of the road asking myself the questions: what am I doing? I'm building a monster here that's actually trapping me when I thought I was building freedom. And it really started me on the journey of asking better questions. I mean, I was a young man trying to cover up the insecurities of not being good enough by using business as a vehicle to prove to the world that I was. Now, didn't realize back then the world didn't give a crap. Right? Everybody's starring in their own movie and we're just film extras in it, in theirs. We're the star of our own movie, but nobody sees us as the star of our own movie. They see themselves as the star of their movie. Now, the reality is most people don't care enough about you to bother to give an opinion because they're too busy being worried about what they think you're thinking of them. Yeah, that's the reality. Yeah, everyone's walking around in their own bubble of self-importance thinking, what's everybody thinking of me? And everybody's walking around their own bubble of self-importance looking at you thinking, I wonder what they're thinking of me. Right? I mean, it's a joke when you wake up from that hypnosis. But for me, it was really about, okay, what really matters? Why am I here? Yeah, I'm not going to take anything with me. Yeah, the only people that tried that were the Egyptians. And what did we do? We dug it up and stole it. Right? I've never seen a hearse with a roof rack. So if we're acting in the movie of our life, we don't get to keep the props at the end of the movie when we go to the next movie. So what does it become? Ask bigger questions. Take a breath. Step up, and really chunk up to a viewpoint as to what's really going to matter at the end of the game. Because I can promise you, I spent time around people that have come to terms with their own mortality, that either have hours, days or weeks to live. And if you ask them, what do you want most right now? I've never had one person turn around and say, please go fetch me my mahogany framed MBA certificate. I've never had one person turn around and say, go fetch me my stock certificate so I can look at them one last time. Or go get me the keys to my Bentley so I can hold them in my hand. No. They all turn around and say, please go get me the people I care about most so I can tell them I love them one more time. That's what really matters. What are we really doing? You got nothing to prove, nothing to defend, nothing to conquer. If business isn't fun, don't do it. Go find another vehicle that lights you up. Because at the end of the day, that's really why we're here. We're here to learn to grow and contribute. And if business is the vehicle for you to be able to do that, outstanding. If it's something that you're trying to do so you can get more, so you can feel more secure, more certain, more significant, I've got news for you. That's a tunnel with no cheese. That's a hamster wheel to nowhere. You're running east looking for a sunset and you're blaming your shoes. Right? It's not going to work. Right? Because when it comes to, let's call it the ultimate game, what's really going to matter? What do you want to stand for? Who are you? When you start asking bigger questions and you say, okay, how can I add value? How can I go transform somebody's life with my product or service? That's what puts a smile on your face at night, not getting an extra sale so you can pay your rent. See, money is nothing but a byproduct or a consequence of you adding value. You focus on getting money, you'll chase your tail. Money's it's conceptual, it's invented. The only place in the universe it means anything is in the mind of a human. To everybody else, it's pieces of paper with dead people on it, shiny metal and hard rocks. So when it comes to focusing on money, you understand that it's a byproduct or a consequence of adding value. Focus on the adding value and the money will show up. But you chase money, you're chasing the effect. You don't sit in front of the fire on a cold winter's night and say, hey, listen, I'll do you a deal. Give me some heat, I'll go fetch you some wood. No. You chop the wood, you get the heat. You don't walk into the gym and say, give me the strength, I'll lift the weights. No. You lift the weights.
Right? I love that analogy. 100%. Yes. There's so much truth and value in what you're saying. I really hope our audience is listening to this, because on a personal note, I went through this, and I sold a company to Bill Gates, and then I thought, with the money in the bank, hooray, now it's I've made it, only to find myself kind of like in the same sort of angry mindset that I was before, and I couldn't figure out what it was until I shifted into that gratitude and really thinking about, was I again trying to prove something that I knew how to do something just better, faster because I got it going on, or was I in business for wanting to make an impact and really helping people to figure something out? I'm a woman over 50. I'm a woman. I've done something not very many women do. And I had to go back to that point of origin, which is, I think, what you're referring to say, hold on, what am I doing this for? For the ego, so I now can be, whatever serial entrepreneur, be on Shark Tank and do all these things? or what does it really matter to me? And for me, what happened, and this is really tying in exactly what you said, I said, to me, what matters is that I really want to give this information, the shortcuts, the what works for women entrepreneurs, for women leaders, and share this without the man, women, thing. Just give them the information, the confidence, the knowledge, and then the kick in the butt to say, it's possible, you can do this, and here's what I've learned. And when I did that, everything shifted in my business as the growth architect. Because now when I hear that somebody took a strategy and put, $300,000 in the bank just because I asked for it, and what they can do as a result of it, because now the ripple effect of their impact is increasing. Now that is the sweet stuff you're talking about, is that is the fulfillment. So what would we tell someone who says, I'm looking for this fulfillment? Where do I start? Are we telling them again, ask the right questions? Or is there anything else you want to share with them?
I'd say find out, what are your rules for having to feel that? See, most people don't realize that every feeling they're searching for, they've already felt at some point. They have access to it. It's a neurological fact that, whatever you think you're searching for, whether it's security, certainty, happiness, freedom, joy, love, whatever, you've already felt it. You have a neurological memory of feeling that at some point. What you're doing at the minute is you're depriving yourself of access to it because you have a series of rules that says, I won't let myself feel that unless this, and this happens. And so questioning your rules around what has to happen in order for you to feel successful. And I'll give you another example. Identity. Identity is a massive part in how we show up in life. For example, if you take people that come to me and say, oh, yeah, I want to be an entrepreneur, where do I start? I said, well, I call them the wantrepreneurs. As a wantrepreneur, it's very unlikely you're going to be successful. Why? Because your rules for being an entrepreneur, I can already tell you what they are. You need to have a business. You need to have a successful business. And then you'll finally call yourself an entrepreneur. Your results are leading your identity. Well, it doesn't work that way. Your identity leads your results. You see, when you are an entrepreneur, I'm an entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur 33 years since I dropped out of school. Since I last had a paycheck from somebody else. And if I lost everything tomorrow, happened 5 years ago, completely wiped out, $350,000 in debt, nothing to show, no credit rating, couldn't open a bank account. But did that stop me being an entrepreneur? No, it's who I am, it's what I do. So as an entrepreneur, as my identity, I'm spotting opportunities because that's who I am, that's what I do. And therefore, I was easy to go build another $10 million company. Now, when I say I want to be an entrepreneur, the presupposition is I'm not one. And if I'm not an entrepreneur, I'm not spotting opportunities. See, my identity leads everything. So if you are currently working for somebody else and you have the mindset that you want to have your own business, then even if the transition, if it's too hard to believe you're an entrepreneur, be an entrepreneur in waiting, because then at least you're looking for opportunities. You're an undercover entrepreneur that's infiltrated a business right now to learn what you can. So you're still getting paid while you're hunting for the right scenario to step into. Set yourself up to win. But when you adopt the identity of somebody, regardless of what the outer world is trying to tell you, that's just playing catch up. Outer world follows inner world. When you get that as a concept, then success will be a lot faster to you, and you won't have to wait until it happens in order to feel great. Because your rules for feeling great are, well, I feel great when I'm an entrepreneur. I'm an entrepreneur now. Doesn't matter what's in the bank. That's always going to go up and go down. That's the nature of business. That's the nature of the cut and thrust and the up and down, the vicissitudes of being in the game that we're in. Right? And I'd never have it any other way. So, it's asking, what are my rules that's preventing me from feeling X? And then you can start to question that and create some better ones.
I love that. Yeah, so much in there. So, Peter, how can we find you, learn more about you? I know you have a 5-day challenge. I don't know if we want to share that with our audience, but go ahead, tell everybody how they can learn more about mastering fulfillment.
You can follow me on Instagram, PeterSage007. I'm on Facebook, but my YouTube channel's a lot of stuff out there. But for some really good content, as you say, the 5-day challenge has transformed so many people's lives. And it's essentially about upgrading your peer group. Because one of the things that I come to learn very early in my career is something called the law of conformity. You become who you hang with. You hang around with 9 recreational drug users, I've got news for you. You're likely going to become the 10th. You hang around with 9 positive people that look at life through the lens of how I can, not why I can't. You're going to become the 10th. The challenge is most people don't have that as a peer group. They have a beer group. They have a fear group. They don't have a peer group. And so learning how to create or surround yourself with people that are going in the same direction, that are setting the kind of goals that you want to set, that are fanning the flames of your dreams, not trying to stamp them out. What are the steps that you take to create that, to attract that, to get yourself invited into those groups? And so I created, it's a 2-hour course. Yeah, it's on my website. I think I charge $5 for it because it helps so many people. There's got to be some level of exchange. If you don't pay nothing, you pay no attention. Right? So, I want to make sure people are valuing it at some level. You've got skin in the game. Go do that. It's 20 minutes a day for 5 days. It'll change your life. And we uncover a lot of the psychological limiting beliefs around finances as well that, trap a lot of people into mental scarcity and poverty versus abundance. I'm really proud of it. It's a great challenge, and it's helped a lot of people. But it really teaches you how to surround yourself and set yourself up to win, so you're flowing with the current, not swimming upstream. So petersage.com is my website. I'm sure it'll be, there'll be stuff on there that we're putting on and changing, and value that I'm adding. Anything, I'm easy to find.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for being on our show. I so enjoyed having you here.
Yeah, absolute pleasure. Thank you, and keep doing what you're doing. It's wonderful work.
Thank you so much. And that's it for us today. Thank you for listening and watching the Business Growth Architect Show. I enjoyed having you here. And for accountability, just take one of the strategies that you have heard, one thing that you can implement in your business immediately. Please leave comments. Don't forget to like and share this show. And if you have any questions about business, please put them in the comments. We are here for you. We're here to support you and help you to grow, build, and scale your own business. For more advice, please check out our website in the show notes below. Thank you again. This is Beate.